Welcome back. We're here with Gilly Hayes from Hayes Auctioneers and Ruth. And what have you brought in, Ruth?
Just a few bits and pieces, just to see really if they're worth hanging on to or getting cleaned, really. The family pieces.
Oh, so they're handed down, are they?
Yeah, this one is. That was my mother's 21st birthday present, which turned 21. So.
What do you think, Gilly?
Lovely. Let's have a look at them, shall we? We'll look at Mum's 21st birthday present first of all. It's a fairly typical 1950s, I'm guessing. How old is your mum?
She's in her 70s.
Okay. Makes her born in the 30s, so 50s, yeah. Okay, 1950s sort of style watch. Sadly, the face is so tiny, they're really hard to see now. So much so that I'm going to have to get my eyeglass. It looks to me as though it's rolled gold, but I can test it, which will show the viewers how you can test gold anyway. You scratch a little bit of the metal onto the touchstone. Don't try this at home, this is acid, it's rather dangerous stuff, but and then you touch it with a little bit of acid. Gold is impervious to acid. If that is gold, that stripe will remain there. If it's not, and it's fading now, the stripe disappears because the acid eats the gold. So we've established that it's not a gold case. It's a nice quality little watch, sadly not gold, but it says here 15 jewels, which means that the access points in, where the parts turn and so forth have a hard stone jewel that makes them more durable than metal, the wear and tear. It's been a very nice little watch. So, I mean, in terms of value, not a great deal. Probably $30, $40, but sentimental value priceless. This little one is very interesting. Now, I think you told me that your grandfather bought it for you?
My grandfather was a merchant seaman. He brought it back for my mother when she was about 4 or 5 years old.
Right, so it's for your mum. I remember when I was a child, these elephant hair bracelets. It's made of elephant hair, and it's actually plaited with what I suspect is probably copper wire. I doubt that the camera can see it, but it's very fine rope twist wire plaited in with that to give the bracelet a bit more rigidity. And I mean, it's a dear little thing.
It's obviously for a child.
Yes, baby bracelet. And again, it's more of a curiosity than high value object. And I'm guessing he bought that on one of his travels. I'm just going to test that little bit, because these things that come from places like, where gold and natural metals, I mean, where metals are mined, it's not going to make a great deal of difference to the value, but it's just interesting to know. Looking at it now, the way it scrapes onto the stone, I think it's a tiny bit unlikely, but we'll try anyway. It might be gold.
It's never been cleaned, it's always just been thrown in a box.
It suggests that it could be. Very often, as I say, these little crimped bits at the end were gold, because gold was mined locally, and yes, it would appear that it probably is gold. So I don't think, I mean, that's not, I'm guessing, but these little junctions where the loops are put on are, without a doubt gold, the little cuffs at the end. But it's a dear little thing. Baby bracelets are very popular in the market, a sort of whimsical sort of thing, but it's still value probably $30, $40, but mainly sentimental value, but interesting nevertheless.
I'm joined by Nancy and Emily, who've bought in some toys. Now, these aren't yours, are they, Emily?
Yeah.
Are they? They belong in the family? Do Mum and Dad let you play with these toys? They do. Oh. Do you, Mum?
No, we don't.
I take it both these toys' history is older than Emily.
It is, yes. Yep. Well, they were given to the kids before they were born. Anticipation from grandparents. So we've had them, but more just an interest of what value they are.
Yep. They're both tin. Obviously, you can tell that yourself. And they both are working on some sort of moving mechanism. This one would have had a key in it at one stage, doesn't have a key anymore. It's a clockwork mechanism, works on a spring. The spring drives a back wheel, and presumably on a very steady pinion, if the other wheel was this side, this would move around the floor. Presumably in a pretty straight line as the wheel's fixed, so a straight line across the floor. The things that are interesting for collectors, and I really love this, is that the tin is a representation of a real motorbike of the time. And the petrol tank looks a bit like an Indian, but I'm not an expert on motorcycles. And it's got Technofix on it, which is not a name of a bike that I'm aware of, so it's probably the name of the company that's associated with the toy. That's really useful because that means there are a couple of things here we can use to look up, catalogues that we could look up of the toy itself or you could find on the net, to give you some idea on what the actual history of the design and the age of the toy is. It looks to me to be a 1950s tin toy, and I say that mainly through the dress of the rider and the style of the motorbike. This is a bloody big engine. You look at this, you kind of go, whew, that's a bit of a thumper. I wonder what sort of noise that made. It would have made quite a popping noise as it was moving along the American roads. I think this is an American style rider's helmet, and the fact that he's got gloves on, he may well be a motorcycle policeman of the United States roads, or at least dressed in that style. Lovely toy. Most of the paintwork is on the tin, so the value is going to have increased in the toy itself. If the mechanism, we had the key and the mechanism is working, the value is going up. If we had both of the wheels here that stabilise it, the value is going up again. Obviously, for a collector, they're willing to pay top dollar for top condition toys. This is an upper level condition toy, but it's not in mint condition because there's still some bits that are missing off it. For my money, I don't know. I don't see enough of tin toys in Western Australia and through my work to value it easily, but I'd be imagining a couple of $100s.
So worth keeping in the cupboard.
Absolutely, keeping on the mantelpiece, letting the kids see it and appreciate it. It certainly speaks to them of a history and a technology that's passed, which is, I think, always worthwhile. The boat, do we know anything about the boat?
Not really. It does take batteries on the base.
Yes, it does.
And I've never been going to put them in because I don't want to... So I don't know what it does. I assume it moves and it maybe blows a noise or something.
Yep. You've got a number of features here that'll help you immensely. It's made in Japan. It's got a patent number, so you can actually go and trace that. That's normally on the mechanism for a movement, not necessarily on the design of the toy itself. But you can trace the patent number and find out what that is. Those patent registers are available via the net, but you might have to go to a specialised library to get someone to actually find the patent for you. Sometimes when you get the patents, there are designs for toys using the mechanism, so you might actually find your boat is in the patent design itself as it was registered. The fact that the batteries are operating lights means that we're really into the 50s. So it may even be a late 50s, early 60s toy. The fact that it's an ocean liner, this was pretty common for people coming to Australia to come on an ocean liner of one sort or another. These days it's not something that we would actually see a lot of made anymore because we'd have cruise liners. So the toys that are out there, and they're not likely to be tin toys, they're likely to be plastic toys, are likely to deal with the change in the way in which people have holidays. But at the time when this boat was being used, it may have been conveying people coming out on the 10-pound assistage passage from Britain, for instance. And that's the reason why the boats were kept as keepsakes in houses. It's a reminder of the fact that we're migrants and we came out on a boat. This boat's unnamed. I don't recognise the name of the shipping company, this little logo. Because it's a Japanese toy, it may be a Japanese ocean liner that's been depicted there. But again, that's a bit of research. We've got a logo. We can go and see if that's for real, if that's just made up by the toy company. And if the ship is unnamed, and that ships aren't unnamed, it's probably meant to be generic. So I wouldn't be surprised to find out that you didn't find an association between the logo on the funnel and a real shipping line. The style of the liner indicates that the 50s, as we were talking about, and the fact that this mechanism is still working. I'd be tempted to put some batteries in it just to see what it does.
It's all clean in the inside, but I don't know whether they're compatible with today's batteries or...
That's very true. And one of the things that's interesting about batteries have their own history. So finding a battery that fits it may give you some indication of the nature of when the toy was actually manufactured and made. obviously if it takes AAAs,
Then
we can say
we-
well, it's a pretty modern toy and we know something about
They're
it.
big batteries, though.
They are indeed. Well, a lot of toys would take a 9-volt battery
Yes.
of that kind of almost like a little box battery,
Right.
and that was pretty standard for a lot of toys. But they've also got quite long life. But running these lights takes a fair whack of power, so you wouldn't be surprised. It's got little wheels on it, so this ship's going to move as well.
I would think it sort of spins or does something and flashes. I don't know whether something
Smoke
comes out of there or.
Yeah. If
I mean,
smoke
if it
comes
did,
out,
I
turn
think
it
I'd
off.
turn it off. Excellent.
You and me both. So, Emily, have we had a chance to play with our ocean liner?
Yes.
Any? No? Not really? Maybe Mum will eventually take courage and
get
put
game.
batteries in it and see if the lights work, eh? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Yes, indeed.
Excellent. And any sort of price on that one, Grant? Or hard to say until you do a bit of work for it.
Yeah, it would be. It is in pretty good nick. I would be very surprised if at auction you couldn't get $300 to $500 on its size alone.
Yes.
You know, it's a big toy.
Yeah.
So it's a big toy that can sit on a mantelpiece. Collectors like to be able to display things that are nice objects to display. It's a pretty object.
Yeah. Okay. That's excellent. Thank you very much.
And thank you for bringing them in.
Pleasure.
Thank you for joining us at Talking Treasures. We're in Rockingham. Come back next week and see what our experts have to say about your treasures.